Dumelang baratwa, ke solofela gore lo siame gompieno ka leina ke malibflat and I'm back at it again. And today I'm not alone. I'm here with
Lesedi Kegomoditswe Mahuse.
So yeah, we're doing this, guys. Today we'll be talking about communication, the importance of communication, effective communication, what communication,
Are you stupid or something?
just communication as a whole. So yeah, without further ado, let me get down to it with Lesedi Kegomoditswe Mahuse. We're doing this. What's up, YouTube? Yeah, I'm back again with Lesedi Kegomoditswe Mahuse. So what I'll be doing today, because you know guys, I'm a shy person.
Oh!
You know.
That's for shy.
So yeah, I'll just be asking questions that come to my mind regarding communication, because it's something that we talk about most of the times, but we don't really talk about it, you know. Yeah, we just mention it. Yeah, let me just put it that way, we just mention it. So I'd just like to ask a few questions regarding the communication. So according to you, what is communication? Like just the basic definition of communication.
Okay, first of all, I think communication takes place when there is like two or more people, obviously, and you need not just communication but effective communication. So I think it's where we need to break it down on how to go about explaining the whole concept of communication, right? So for there to be communication, like I'm saying, we need two people, the sender and the receiver, meaning the sender is going to encode a message and the receiver is going to have to decode the message. So basically it's just me saying to you, Tepang, this is what is happening, you know. Me facing out or saying the smallest thing, that is communication. Even at home when you tell somebody, wash the dishes or ink, you know, it's very important to understand that that is communication. But how you say it, how you put it is what is important. So we make communication seem or sound like a train smash or somebody's been hit by the bus. It doesn't work like that. Communication is very simple and straight to the point. If you know what you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, okay, you've said a mouthful. That is a definition and a half and a quarter and so forth. Yeah, boy. Yeah, so the challenge that we are facing as men in the society,
Alright,
is communication, because in most cases, like they say indoda ikali, you know,
Alright.
we might be going through things, or we might be, you know, maybe being in an abusive state where like someone is just telling you things but you can't respond, or especially in our black communities where when our parents talk to us, they don't want us to respond, but they want us to respond. So what do you think, like how can we help, you know, the society, or the men specifically in
in
the
society.
Yes, the men in the
Okay,
society.
it's I have this tendency of saying it's very basic, and I was warned that not everything is very basic, you know.
Yeah.
You're always just saying everything is very basic, but I really do think everything is very basic. We just want it to be difficult when it's not necessary.
Okay.
Returning to your question, you're asking about especially communication for men in society.
Yeah.
I always say to people, now this is my favorite topic.
Oh my God! Wow!
Because I think I always vouch for men,
Yeah.
sadly, because I see these behaviors in society. I see men having to behave in this particular manner because now it's not suitable for others. Understand? So I think the first thing we need to do is not get rid of the norm, because now we are being stopped by the norm. In dot aikali,
Yeah.
in you know, in dot in
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that, because now the moment we do that, it means we're taking away a part of how men in future are going to behave. There is no such a thing that men are dogs, men are trash. Understand? It boils down
And they
to
like that.
Understand? It boils down to
Yeah.
that. And now let me tell you something. The most important part, or something that makes me see the critical part of how we fail to communicate or comprehend communication as a society, is that we forget there are generations that are coming. And remember, a child learns from seeing. Yes, so a child learns from seeing what they
Say
see.
it again in Setswana. It seems like they didn't hear you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. But like I was saying, in Setswana, it simply means meaning
what does
a
it mean?
child learns from a very young age. And you can make a basic example of a branch. I wish I had one, but it's fine.
Okay.
You can imagine a branch, and you can imagine the functions of a branch when it's still very young. So you can just take right about when it's just still growing and not firmly formed. You understand? So it's very flexible. You can fold it, you can tie it, you can do whatever. It doesn't break easily. That's the one thing about it, because it's still moist.
Soft.
It adapts to any type of environment that you put it in. But the problem comes when it's hard enough, when it's grown now, when it's matured. What happens is the moment you try to fold it, you break it. The moment you try to tie it, you break it. It's now difficult to get it to be the structure or the shape that you want. You understand? So I think we need to first rid the norm. Because when we look at it, we also get to notice that we are actually affecting coming generations. We say men are trash, and we forget that these boys learn from seeing. So let's first respect the older generation of men, so that we can actually have a manifestation of what we want our younger boys to be when growing up. Understand? Because now when I say men are trash is a basic example of me saying, even when I'm pregnant, my fetus that is most likely to be male is also trash, because it's gonna automatically come to a world that perceives men as trash. I hope I make sense. So it breaks down to just allowing a man to have a space to cry, allowing a boy child to grow as a boy child and to grow as a boy. But the moment we start installing and being like, in that I can, already we are depriving the child vulnerability. Hence why a lot of men, when you look at statistics, a lot of people who are on the streets are men, a lot of people in jails are men, a lot of people committing suicide are men, a lot of people in abusive relationships are men. But obviously they will not report it because society does not allow them to. So now we just put females there to have face, but in actual fact, men go through the most.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Even if you go to police stations, when you go report a crime as a man, they like they spark man.
Grow up,
man up. Men up like that. And I did mention the parents, né? So how do you think our parents, because we should check in our society in the moment, we the youth are the most parents, if I can put it that way. Yeah. So as parents, how, because you were talking about a branch when it's still soft, when it's still, how do we mold it, how do we bend it to be a certain way that it has to be? So how do you think us, like parents, I'll say us, okay,
because majority of us, no, but it's true, majority of us actually parents.
Yeah. So how can we improve? Because on the other hand, the things that lead us not to be able to communicate is because of our our pains or our scars that we never heal from, the wounds we never heal from. So now it has happened that a lot of people have anger issues, like and frustrations that they are taking out on their children, and it's causing that miscommunication. The children can't talk easily to them, to ask for help, to ask for anything. So how can we curve that, to curve that thing in order for us to be able to instill the effective communication? Like, how can we, blend it into our generation so that we can fix the generations that are coming? Do you think it
is possible? I mean, it's as simple as putting a blush of makeup and moving on. But not everything is rocket science, unfortunately, and we make it seem like that. And you saying also, like, when we focus to, or at the point that the majority of the youth now is into already a phase of parenting, and it's different because there is the older generation, which is our parents, and then there's this generation that is ours, majority being the youth in also parenting. It's different. You know how you didn't want to be raised. Now, what difference do you make in your child's life? It starts there, right? And it's not about not being able to communicate with our parents. it's about how messages are encoded and decoded. Like I was saying,
yeah.
communication has encoding and decoding. So I want us now to dwell into that part.
Get to
actually,
that part, okay.
yes,
Yeah, it
how
is.
we go about encoding a message or decoding a message.
Yeah.
You know, when you say to me, also, hence why I'm saying 70% of communication is non-verbal.
Yeah.
And 30% is actual communication whereby we there. And remember, the non-verbal part of communication says a lot about us, because sitting like this is already communication. It can tell you
Yes.
how I feel. It can tell you the kind of mood or kind of response you can actually expect. You understand? And then if I sit like this, already it makes sense. So how do you go about it when you actually talk to someone else? The structure, the gestures, the facial expressions, those are things that matters. And now also that is the encryption of a message.
You're taking me back to varsity. I was doing codes, man, encryption and
Yes,
stuff. But
you know, I feel like I'm doing coding right now, you know. Yeah, man.
Because I heard like when you're talking to someone and they just folding their hands, like, you know, certain gestures. It's not how you say it. It's not what you said, it's how you say it.
Yes.
So, like you said, is the encoding and the decoding. So, do you think? How can I put this question? With the matter of encoding and decoding.
Okay.
As the young people now, because, like you said that some people don't want to grow up like they don't want to raise their children like they grew up.
True.
But if you check, there's something called a generational curse. Do you think there is something like that, or it's just that we don't want to talk things through to improve our livelihood?
Okay.
Do you think like communication can be a barrier, or can have an effect in the things that we call the generational curses?
It goes down to confirmation, you know.
Okay.
As a society, we conform to certain things, you know. When it's like how we say it, man, you do what the Romans do. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? And if we were to understand that narrative in our everyday lives, I think it would be far more better and far more easy, because now hence I'm saying it's very tricky to say you want to break norms, because these are things that we grow up seeing and we conform to already. You start believing it.
Yeah.
But there's this one thing that I always say, that what's meant to be is going to be. You understand? And what's meant to change will change, or you need to put in the effort to change it. So sometimes we use just these idioms or whatever to comfort ourselves, or to rather cover up the dirt and say, you know what, I messed up, but I'm going to use this norm to cover what I did up. You understand? So now communication is not a barrier, but we make it. Hence I'm saying, when a message is encoded, and you as the receiver fail to decode it, you need to then ask for clarity. You need to then ask for elaboration, because it makes it easy to hear what the other person was actually saying. And I'm a person who's very big on punctuation. Not only when I write or text, but when I speak. So you can hear a question. Exactly. It sounds like you're saying ojile. But it's like ojile. And I'm like, I didn't eat.
Yeah.
But it's like, you understand? So it's how you say it also. How you say it plays a certain role. But at the same time, how you say it plays a different role. Not what you say, how you say it.
How you say it.
It plays two different roles, because you can say it like this and imply the other thing, or you can say it like this and still not imply anything.
Okay, great. So I'd like to ask, do you think there are like methods of communication, like methods that maybe like break it down? Because as our generation, you know, I'm not gonna focus too much on the previous generation.
Wow, because back then, guys.
So the main thing that we fail, or the previous generation failed to talk about, to communicate about, is the topic of sex.
Okay.
Like the sexual intercourse, because teenage pregnancy is happening like, it's
Like, wow.
crazy. So how do you think we can improve like the approach, like you said, the encoding of how you say it? How can we approach it like towards our children? How can we initiate that communication to be able to lay the platform for our children to be able to communicate. So how do we lay the platform or the foundation of the communication in that regard, in the weird topics,
Oh yeah, so basically in all the weird topics.
Yes, in
is
all
not
like
specifying
not
the
like
no
things
problem.
like alcohol and like just a lot of weird
Everything that falls together, the stigma around
stigma, yes,
truth.
the stigma around
We thought that math and science is difficult, but let me tell you what, this whole life thing is just almost very close to impossible to pass. Especially now in our age or day and age. It goes down to, let me make the simplest example that I think a lot of young people go through. Having to talk about mental wellness with our parents is one of the most difficult things we do, understand, because now when it goes to the basic topics of sexual intercourses, and I think those are things that we are being helped with regards to schools, campaigns, the awarenesses that are being raised. So as much as it's very difficult, the outcome of what we achieve now as a society is solely because of our behaviors as people, or everything that you do. I personally feel that everything that you do is intentional. I don't believe in such a thing that it was a mistake. For me, like, I'm not judging anybody, but personally for me, it's like whatever I do is intentional. I know if I drink a lot of alcohol and I'm in the streets, anything can happen to me.
Yeah.
So it means I'm doing it intending. Understand?
to get drunk, because they say what's the use of drinking and not getting drunk.
I'm kidding. You did not laugh,
that's what
So
they say.
it goes down, man, to just trying to because even when you sit down with a parent and try to explain what encoding and decoding is, it's like, I took you to school, don't come be smart with me, you understand? We still have those type of behaviors in
but
society.
it gets out of core.
I taught you this. Exactly.
Yes.
And what does it bring? It also brings about comparison, because later on as young people we then turn to say, if nearly in a white household, this is how this could have been resolved. You understand? And hey guys, but let's just eat drink or pop. Eat drink or pop. And then move on.
Talking about the mental wellness, that's a topic we never talk about, especially with our parents. Personally, I also went through the same journey when I dropped out of varsity, because at home they didn't lay a foundation for me to be able to communicate about such topics. Or guys, I'm not mentally okay, like I'm not okay, guys, I'm not okay due to academics,
True.
because when I go, I tell them, you should make friends, stop being alone, you should go out.
And they don't realize that affects us. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
They don't realize that affects us, because academics can be a lot.
Yeah.
And we have passion for different things, and sometimes we just do things because we want to please them, we want to make them happy. You don't genuinely want to do that, but because you want to be that child, at least, or if you want to, as an example, I ain't going to nobody's example, e.g. in short, no. And we need to get that right. I think it's something that 98% of the young people go through, or is the judgment that 80% of high school or varsity dropouts face. Understand, you came so far. Why? They don't understand the pressure that comes with it, because now it builds and it causes anger and it causes depression and it causes a lot more. And I always say, I come across people who ask me, do you ever suffer from depression because you're always so happy? And I'm like, it's not that I'm putting a face for the world. I am genuinely a very happy person. But when I'm doing what I want, when I'm doing what I enjoy, understand? And I think it goes to a point that we all suffer from depression, but we don't realize it. Because it comes in different forms. I can say for me, it doesn't come directly as depression, but I can say lately I feel like I've been going towards that stage. Because what happens now, my body shuts and it goes into this condition of deep rest. Before depression is deep rest.
Wait a minute.
You are always tired, always fatigued. It's deep, and then you need that rest.
Deep rest or breast?
Not breast as in boobs, like malibongo. Okay, that is not,
Yeah.
But just a state of deep rest, as in like
Okay.
needing to rest or needing to take a break from something, because somebody once told me, you know what, sometimes your body gets tired, or you personally get tired of the role that you're playing, or the expectations that people have about you, for you, when you actually don't have none of that for you. Yes, you know you want to succeed, but not the way they want you to succeed. You want to grow in whatever you're doing, but not the way everybody else wants you to. Understand? So it's just a matter of knowing what you want and being able to communicate it to other people. I understand you guys want me this, but this is what I want and this is how I want it. Understand? Sometimes it looks as if you're rude, but it's just you trying to be assertive. But at the end of the day, you could just say, I'm not going to do it because you want me to do it.
Yeah,
It could be
'cause
that
I can't
simple.
live your failed dreams. Dear parents,
Preach.
I can't
We
live
cannot.
your failed dreams. Like, it's just that. Can't. You had okay, I know there were disadvantages in their parts.
Sure.
And, due to financial disabilities and all those things. But now, this is me. This is us being granted the opportunity to be what we want to be. So we should utilize it, So, yeah, but then that was communication. And do you want to say anything more that would like to enhance or to maybe an advice to someone out there watching us?
There's a lot to be said.
Say,
And
don't
there's a lot.
worry.
Honestly, there's a lot
Yeah.
to be said, especially with regard to the conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
Understand? What I always say is, it doesn't matter how many awarenesses we're going to raise. It doesn't matter how many outreaches we're gonna have. It doesn't matter how many marches we're gonna want to put out there.
Yeah.
As long as we as
Yeah.
but as long as we as a people are not ready to change, it's not gonna work. As long as we as a
Yeah.
people are not ready to learn, it's not gonna do any difference. And as long as we as people don't want to see the change that we want, or don't want to be the change that we want, then it's not gonna work out. Understand? I understand there are multiple opportunities out there for everybody. Understand? But we're not gonna get them the same way, unfortunately. Just because you didn't go to varsity as soon as you finished school does not mean that you're never gonna go to varsity. Understand?
Yeah.
Understand? Even
Yeah.
it's the dying need that you're
Yes,
going to have that will
yes,
push you to achieve. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think we need to first stop this whole thing of limitations, because now we
Yeah.
limit ourselves and we compare ourselves a lot.
Yeah,
Yo,
you should go to Instagram. It's crazy. That's
when you don't have. Then when I
Yeah.
50 followers, my follower 50,000.
Yeah, like
It's hectic. But the hectic part of it, or the hecticity of this whole conversation, is just, I think, what we as a people want, genuinely. And if we can reach understanding in communication and have comprehension, because comprehension simply means being able to tell what is being said in your ways. So try break it down, even if it means you're trying to for 5 minutes and we're thinking, I don't know what to say, but when you come back, your comeback is gonna be strong.
Yes.
Because you didn't respond to answer.
Yes,
you responded after thinking. So it's very much lucrative when it hits the panel.
So understanding is the thing that you're emphasizing.
Exactly.
In whatever the comprehension or the conversation that you're having, you need to understand what is being said so that you know how to respond. I think that's also for our society. We just want to respond, or we are responding out of ego. We don't want to understand,
pride.
and
And
pride,
the problem comes with not wanting to be wrong. You can't be right all the time, unfortunately.
Yes.
You can go to Oxford, you can go to
Yeah,
Harvard. You can never always be right.
Yes.
Understand? And even the greatest masters, or people that we see as great masters of mastering this whole life thing and success itself and attaining whatever goals they've had in mind, they've had to go through so many difficulties. They've had to fail at so many things. So who are you not to fail? But who are you to judge yourself from your failures?
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Life was life. The time when I drink up and then we grew up and then
Regarding the king didn't. Lucky Shepherd.
the packet doesn't look the same anymore. And I'm like, what is this thing? It doesn't taste the same. It doesn't look the same.
It's just insane,
And
man.
it's basic, man. It just shows you that everything in life evolves,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
what we used to have back then. The only thing I think that has stayed consistent, ke pakiari knickknacks.
Yeah, but the jigis and stuff.
No, apart from that, the knickknacks is since really thing today.
Oh,
That guy
like
what
that.
it read,
Oh,
the
like,
packet,
yeah, the packet
that's
didn't
the most,
change,
and
yeah.
you still get your packet go $1. That's the best part of it.
Yeah,
The consistency.
it's crazy.
But it's very important that like I think we should say we should be like trees. That's my last advice, or one thing that I would tell young people. Choose to be like a tree. You understand? A tree has a lot that it does.
Yes.
But apart from a tree doing a lot, a tree also has a lot being done to it. You understand?
Yes.
So as a person, have that perception. I am a tree. I do a lot because I produce food.
Yeah.
I produce fruits. But a lot is also being done to me. I am nurtured. I am fed. I am like my environment is supposed to be kept clean.
Yes.
Keeping your environment clean is solely not only for you, because also Luana as a tree now you can be a bit of a nerd.
Yeah,
You understand?
Yeah.
And that is like sometimes you just throwing off the toxic whatever in your environment because it's no longer required to be there. So in our lives we have people who behave like leaves. They're gonna fall. We don't have to run after them. It's their responsibility. It's their
There will be someone
duty.
sweeping those.
Somebody will sweep them off, and
Yeah.
they will be distributed where they're supposed to be at. Understand?
They won't be trash, man.
They won't be trash. They're gonna compost.
They're gonna be fertilized. Yeah.
So I think it's very important that we understand that. And the moment we understand communication, comprehension, let me break down comprehension. It's basically understanding in simple terms.
Yes.
What you understand from what a scenario or whatever that has been given to you. So sometimes English.
Yeah, I know.
It's
That's not my
but
English,
it's-
the bedroom English.
It's
Yeah.
not that difficult. So yeah, man.
So, with regards to all the topics that we've covered, do you think the same principle should be used when it comes to relationships? Because relationships, are the another pandemic here in the country, and some people feel like relationships are more.
Nothing on us.
Some people think relationships are more difficult than life. So, do you think the communication, should we apply the same things that we've covered, the same principles, in order for our relationships to work better? Or do you think in a relationship there are certain methods that we're supposed to use in order to overcome miscommunication?
Generally, I think communication is the same. Puya melke man.
Yeah.
And then it's still gonna taste not like the original quality milk,
Yes.
because of what? It's powdered milk. Understand? Yeah, man. So puya milk. Same communication. How you communicate. How you communicate in the street, how you communicate with your friends is communication. Remember, the importance is not what you're saying. How you're saying it is what is important. But going back to a part where people assume that communication or life rather is far more easier than relationships, because now relationships seem to be more difficult. No, they're not. You need to love yourself first more so that you can love the next person. If you love somebody, or say you love somebody, and you break up and you feel like you've lost that love that you had, you lost the love for yourself. It means you never loved that person. Because in order for you to love that person, you needed to love yourself. So if you lost your love, it means
so
you
it's
never loved.
you are the problem. Because I once listened to Michael Todd, Michael Todd, where he said a relationship is basically a mirror. Whatever insecurities that you see in the person, that means it's a reflection of your insecurities.
insecurity.
So if it means that, for instance, I say, okay, I fell out of love, that means I fell out of love
With yourself.
Hey guys,
It's
I
tough.
need to do some self-introspection.
It's very tough. You know what? I think that's one thing that it's also one of the techniques that I use. I do it every day. I stand in front of the mirror and I just take a moment to look at the mirror, the reflection. I'm going to see things that make me feel very unhappy. You're gonna see blemishes, you're gonna see whatever. Those are small things that break you. Maraka sometimes makeup.
Hey,
You understand what I'm saying? But what's the point of shying away from the actual person that I see when I look in the mirror, and wanting to be the person that I see after putting the person that I want on the mirror?
hey, I'm a Brazilian. What? And the lashes on flick and the
You understand?
nails done. Why can't we be
Because
happy
I
with
could
our
have done
small nails?
exactly. I mean, I could have done that.
Yeah.
I could have come on screen right now with makeup or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. But it takes you to accept yourself for who you are. Like, let me tell you this: people or the world will eventually fall in love with you when you start being real to yourself with yourself. That's the whole thing. I'm attracting toxic energy or negative people. No, it doesn't work like that. You're attracting those because you are pretending to be a certain person.
Yes.
Understand? Stop that. Be you. Let whoever loves you love you. Let whoever hates you hate you. Understand?
Yeah.
O tlang bona fela, o tlang sheba